So I'm Luke Durbin. I farm here with my dad, Matt. We row crop mostly corn, soybeans, and wheat. And we run some beef cattle here in Tuscarawas County in New Philadelphia, Ohio.
I'm Chris Zoller, Extension Educator, Agricultural and Natural Resources in Tuscarawas County. Here at Durbin Farms this year, we're doing a soybean population trial, and we're looking at populations between 80 and 160,000.
In past years, we've kind of had a wider range and at higher populations, and after a few years of doing that, we learned that kept us in a pretty narrow window of yield difference. So we decided this year maybe we'd tighten it up and try some lower populations, and basically we'd like to maximize return and learn as much as we can from these lower populations.
We've been doing the eFields project since its beginning in 2017, and Durbin Farms has always been a cooperator each of those years. Luke has really enjoyed doing the soybean population trials, and so I can count on him every year. I don't have to ask. I do, but I don't have to ask. But oftentimes, he comes to me and says, hey, I want to try this trial this year. I want to reduce the rates, do something a little bit different. So very willing to cooperate, and we certainly appreciate their assistance.
By reducing some seed cost, that's the big player in this. If we can reduce a little bit of seed cost per acre, when you spread that across a large number of acres, that can make a huge difference in your bottom line. And so that's really the main goal of what we're trying to do here. And at the same time, potentially maximize our yields, especially on some varieties, that thrive under these lower population circumstances.
Basically what we did this year was we did a soybean population rate study. Went across the span of 5 different populations from 80,000, skipping every 20 up to 160. Oddly enough for Ohio, I think we had a pretty mild and rather just pleasant growing season, really. We had about 22.5 inches of rainfall during the time that seed was in the ground from planting to harvest. Right around 2,400 growing degree units. Pretty reasonable rainfall, no extreme weather events. It's a surprisingly small difference, really, from our highest rate to our lowest rate across multiple replications. In that 80,000 plants per acre difference, we had about a 12 bushel variance from the highest to the lowest, and so really what we're learning there, I think, as long as we can find that consistently, is we can really save ourselves on seed costs and just help ourselves out there at the bottom line. We've participated in this for a few years now, and really what it's come down to is we've continued to drop our seeding rates across our entire operation, and we've seen huge savings by doing that.
So for us, the OnFarm Research, just kind of at the end of the day means a little bit more. There's a lot of times you can read it in a magazine or whatever, but a lot of people question those numbers. Is that really the true fact? We're yield monitors calibrated and things like that. And so when we do it ourselves, we know for a fact, hey, or even when a neighbor does it, we know for a fact, hey, these are the true numbers, and this is how it affects us on our operation with the way we do things.
We've been doing the soybean research study every year since the eFields program started with Durbin Farms and/or other farms throughout the county. And one of the things that I've noticed is that as a result of that research, farmers are reducing those seeding rates. It's kind of one of those things. I know early on, in fact, it was Durbin Farms, a group of us met with some farmers, and Luke's father, Matt, had shared with them the data from that year, and they said, yeah, that tells us what we, kind of repeats what they've been telling us to do, is reduce seeding rates. And so I am seeing more farms across the county that are reducing those rates because the research has proven that we can reduce rates and maintain yield and still do quite well with that.
We're really thankful and blessed to have our extension educator Chris here working with us, and we get to have him to ask questions and bounce ideas off of and work with often, and he sure has helped us out a lot and helped us with these plots and everything else to learn a lot to better our farm.
Obviously conservation is important to all of us, and farmers are the best conservationists out there. They're concerned about the soil quality, they're concerned about water quality and soil health. And when you think about, especially this part of the state, our topography, we've got a lot of hills, we've got a lot of soils that are prone to erosion, and so trying to work with farmers, whether it's through no-till or cover crops or other conservation practices, helping them implement those and see the value in doing so.
So yeah, we've done several different practices for quite a few years now. We've been no-tilling virtually all our ground for about 25 years now. And we've done a lot with different filter strips and cover crop programs to help reduce runoff and improve water quality. Obviously that's important. And we want to do our part.
When we think about the future of agriculture in the county, it's always been a very strong industry. I foresee that continuing to be a strong industry. It's probably going to diversify a little more than what we've seen in the past. But we are fortunate, as I think about families who are involved in production agriculture across the county. Many of these families do have children who are that next generation, who have an interest in taking over the farm for that next generation. And I think that's something that we're very fortunate, and we can say very proudly that we do have a group of young people in those families on those farms that want to see them continue well into the next generation.
So I'm the fourth generation on our farm here, Durbin Farms, and with each generation we've continued to do more and more practices, conservation practices among others, to improve ourselves. My father and I now farm together. Obviously the goal, like many farms, is to build a place here that we can continue into the future, and so we try to do the best things that we can to make sure that future is there, and it continues to be an opportunity for myself and hopefully someday the next generation and moving forward.
Want to learn more? Visit the link on screen to get your copy of this year's eFields report.